Hello everyone, welcome back to another week of Intro to iOS development. This week I will be guest lecturing on Snapkit, custom pop-up views, and closures. So to start off with introductions, I'm Amy, a sophomore studying CS in the College of Engineering, and I joined AppDev last semester, so fall 2020, and I'm currently working on Pair, and I will be one of the course instructors this coming fall 2021 semester. So to start off, we'll talk about Snapkit. So it's a CocoaPod similar to Alamifier. And what is Snapkit? So it's a CocoaPod that makes your constraints both easier to read and write compared to NS layout constraint, right? So with NS layout constraint, if you look at this block of code, if I wanted to constrain this playlist image view, I would constrain it with NS layout constraint to activate. And then in this case, it's constraining the top anchor to the view's safe area layout guide offset by 30. Its leading anchor to the view's leading anchor offset by 30, and its width anchor to be 130 and its height anchor to be 130. So this is all very long and kind of tedious to write. So with Snapkit, you can simplify it so that it looks like this. And it's doing the exact same thing, just with shorter code. So the way you would do this, you would just do playlist image view.snp.make constraints and make, and you can do make.top dot equal to view safe area layout guide dot offset 30, make leading equal to the super view because the super view is the view that it's subviewed in, and offset by 30. And then in this case, like Snapkit lets you chain multiple constraints. So you can see that like the height and the width, we constrain it to 130, both of them, and it's exactly the same. So you can just chain it with Snapkit, make height.width equal to 130. So now we'll talk about custom pop-up views. So custom pop-up views are in most of the apps that you see. For example, here are some screenshots from Snapchat. There's a pop-up view when you long press on a message that gives you the option to delete the chat, and another one in the friend profile screen that allows you to change your friend's name, right? And there's many ways to do custom pop-up views, and such as modally presenting the UI view controller, but today I'll be demoing how to do it with custom UI view and then handling its appearance with animations. So if you look at the second pop-up view, it's changing my friend's name on Snapchat. And so like in regards to the second pop-up view, how would you handle saving the name? And then passing it back to the main view controller and like saving it for your friend, right? So at this point of the course, you may be thinking like, oh, we'll do a delegation and protocols. And while that is the correct answer, there is an even better way. You can do it with closures. So with closures, you don't have to write protocols or conform your UI view controller to any of the protocols. And this makes your code cleaner to write and easier to read. And so with delegation, say I had this add song protocol and I call this function to save a new song with the song object, right? So I'd have to create the protocol, initialize the delegates, and then implement the protocol functions in the view controller that would handle the function, right? But with closures, instead of initializing the delegate, you initialize the function that you are passing into the other view where you would normally initialize the delegate. And then in the UI view controller where you initialize the view that you are either presenting or pushing, you define the function that you're passing in. So if this all seems really confusing, don't worry, it all makes sense during the demo. So without further ado, let's get into the demo. So to start off, I'm going to show a demo of what the completed app should look like. You can think of it as a cafe app where you can order drinks. So when you select on one of these cells, you can like increase the quantity of like how many of these drinks do you want, and then you can see the total price reflected. You can also cancel it, or if you decide to add to your cart, you can just add to your cart and it will show up here. You can add multiple drinks to your cart. So I can do that. And then if I decide I don't want this in my cart anymore, or I want less of it, I can decrement it or increment it. And then if I do 0, it just disappears from my cart. So yeah, that's what we'll be working on today. And if you look at the starter code, nothing happens when you select one of these. It's because we haven't implemented that yet, and so there's nothing in your cart. I have already added Snapkit to the pods file here. So you can see that this is a XC workspace, and also added an extensions file where I added the custom colors that I'm using. So the way you do this is like, if you want to add custom colors, or like, you know how you can do like .white or .blue, but when you want a custom color, you have to paste the whole color in. Sometimes it becomes really hard to keep track of what color is what. So you can just do extension UI color in another file and do static let name your color and then equals the UI color. And so yeah, if you look at the view controller, this is just a regular table view. The object that we're working with is called cafe option, and it has an image, a name, like a rating. So this rating, it also has the cost, which is this price here, and the quantity, which is like how much you decided to select of it. And so if you look at our view controller, our first to-do is to initialize the pop-up view. So we don't have the pop-up view yet, so you're gonna have to create it. So the way we do that is file view. You're gonna create a Cocoa Touch class. I'm gonna call it this add cart view. So yeah, and so if you look at this add cart view, you'll see that it has a lot of components. So it has an image, a label for the name, a label for the price, this like star, and then the rating label, and then like this quantity and add and decrement buttons, and this other label for the total price, and then 2 more buttons, one for canceling and one for adding to your cart. So we're going to start by initializing all of these components. So I'm going to do that option image, or image view. So there's going to be a cost label, then also the add button, so adding the quantity, and then another button to remove some quantity. And then there's going to be the quantity label. And then if you notice, there's also like a background view around these. So we're going to have to initialize that too. I'm going to call it quantity background view. And there's also the total price label. And then the canceling button and the add to cart button. So another thing that we'll also have to initialize is the option that you selected. So when you select this option, like its data gets passed into this view, right? So we're gonna have to do private var selected cafe option, and it's type cafe option. And then we're gonna have to do an initializer to initialize both the view and the new option, right? So we're gonna do selected cafe option of type cafe option. And then also we're going to, so we're going to do self.cafe option, selected cafe option. And then you're also going to have to do super.init. In the frame, we're going to do .0 because we're going to set the frame in the other view. We're going to use Snapkit to like lay out its like height and width. It's going to tell you to add this initializer, so you just add it. So now we can set up the views first, and then we'll set up the constraints. So to set up the views, I'm going to write it in a separate function. And in this function, I'm going to start by setting up the option image. So I'm going to go like in the order of like when I initialize them. So the option image, we're going to set its content mode to be scale aspect fill because I'm going to want them to be the squares. So I want like, I think it's fine if like some of the stuff cuts out. Option image dot image, we're going to set it equal to UI image named. And we're going to use the name from the selected cafe option. So if you look at the cafe option, it has an option image, which is the string of the option. I put them all here in the assets. So we're going to do selected cafe option dot option image, and then option image dot clips to bounds. We're going to set that to true, and then option image. I also want a little bit of like rounded corners, so layer dot corner radius, I'm going to set it to 5, and then I'm going to add subview of option image. So because I'm going to use Snapkit later, I can just import it first. I don't have to do option image dot sets translates auto resizing to false. You don't have to do any of that anymore. And also, just because it's a UI view, you're going to do add subview instead of like view dot add subview or something like that. So I'm going to continue this with the rest of the UI components. So we're going to do option label dot font. I'm going to set it equal to the system font of size 18 with weight semi-bold, and then option label dot text color. Default is black, I'm pretty sure, but I'm going to set it just in case. Option label dot text, and you can just set it equal to the selected cafe option dot option name. Then we're going to do add subview of option label. And then we're going to do much of the same with the rest. So star image equals UI image. Oh, sorry, star image dot image equals UI image named. So I think what I call this was rating here. So I'm going to do rating. And then I also want I want this star image's content mode to be scale aspect fit, because I want to show the entire star no matter how big I constrain what I constrain its the image to be. So I'm going to set its content mode to be scale aspect fit. And then I'm going to do start image dot close to bounds equals true, and then add it to the subview. And then we're going to set the rating label. And the rating label's text color is going to be, if you look, it's this like gray color. I think what I called it was brown gray. So you can just do dot brown gray instead of having to copy paste that UI color. And then you can do rating label dot text equals. So I want it to be the selected cafe options dot option rating, which is like a field of this class variable, this like model. And then you can just add it to the subview. And then next, after rating label, we have cost labels. So cost dot font equals dot system font of size 16. And it's the cost label's text color is also that brown gray. So do that. Cost label, we're going to set its text equals to, it's going to be this $sign. $sign. And then we're going to do selected cafe option dot option cost, and then add it to the subview. And then we're going to set the quantity. So in regards to this part, we're going to set the quantity background view first, because we're going to add all these components into, like, this is its super view. If that doesn't make sense, just this will make a lot more sense once I do this. So background color, we're going to set it to this gray. I think I call it gray blue. So then we're going to do quantity background view. I want to set its like corner radius, because it's like, if you notice, it's a little rounded. Dot layer dot corner radius equals, like, I'm going to do 10, and then I'm going to add it to the subview. And now we're going to add all these other components to this view as its super view. So I'm going to start with I'm going to go right, I guess, like in this order. So I think I did the add button, remove button, and the quantity label. So add button dot set title. Oh no, sorry, set image. So it's going to be UI image named. If you look here, I called it just add, I guess. So it would just be add third dot normal, and then the add button. We're going to add a target. It's going to be self selector add quantity and for touch up inside. And then instead of doing add subview, you're going to do quantity background view dot add subview of this add button. And then we're going to do the remove button dot set image, UI image, named, I think I called it remove here. So we're going to just do remove dot normal. Oh. And then we're going to do remove button dot add target self. Do remove quantity dot touch up inside and quantity background view dot add subview remove button. So now I'm going to handle like just writing function stubs for these. So it stops yelling. And then, so after the remove button, all we have left is the, well, we're gonna have to set the quantity label dot font equals dot system size font of size. I'm gonna do 18 and semi-bold, and quantity label dot text color equals dot black dot text. And so if you look, it's quantity. You can do selected cafe option dot option quantity. And then you're going to do quantity background view dot add subview quantity label. And so now we're going to do the handle the total price label dot font equals dot system font of size 20. I'm going to do weight semi bold also. Total price label dot text color is going to be black. So here I'm going to have to write a function to calculate the total price. And it's going to be, so I'm going to have a function called total price. So the way the price works is like, it's just this, how much quantity you have times the price, right? So it's going to be just selected cafe option dot option quantity times selected cafe option dot option cost. And then you're gonna just do add subview, total price label. And now we just have the last two, which are cancel button and add to cart button. So the cancel button and add to cart button are quite similar. Dot set title, it's gonna be cancel for dot normal. And the cancel button, I'm gonna add a little bit of roundedness. So I'm gonna set its corner radius to be 15. Cancel button dot layer dot border color is going to be this UI color. I think I called it golden yellow. Oh, it's going, so because it's a border color, it's going to have to be like a UI color dot border, no, golden yellow dot CG color. And then cancel button. So the border actually won't appear unless you set its border width to like a non-zero size. So I'm going to set it to 1. And then I'm going to do cancel button dot set title color. I'm going to have its title color be black for dot normal. And then we're going to set its font. So the way you do that is you do title label dot font dot system font. I'm going to do size 16 and semi bold. And then I'm going to add a target to this cancel button. So cancel button dot add target. I'm gonna do cancel add. Oh, here dot touch up inside and add subview, cancel button. So you can kind of just do the same thing for the add button, just replace some parts. So I'm going to, instead of doing cancel button, I'm doing add button. And the way I do it is I just do this. And instead of that, it's going to be called add to cart. And its background color is going to be golden yellow. So background color equals golden yellow. You don't need to set a border anymore. The title color is still black. Title label font, we can keep it the same. But instead of cancel add when selected, it's going to be add to cart. So that's the function. So I'm going to call it OBJC func cancel add. And OBJC func add to cart. So it builds it. The error should disappear. So now that we've set up all the views, now we can start constraining them. So I'm going to call this function, and now I'm going to start constraining the views. So I'm going to do constraints. And so this is how we're going to use Snapkit to constrain the views. So you just do option image.snp.make constraints, and you can click enter again and just remove that and type make. And we're going to do make.leading equal to superview dot offset 20, make.top equal to superview dot offset 20. So actually you can chain these two together. So I can just do make leading dot top equal to, since they're both equal to superview offset 20. And then I want both their height and their width to be like 100. So I can do make.width.height equal to 100. Now I'm going to do the option label. Top equal to, so I want the top to be equal to the option images top. So I'm going to do option image.snp.top. And I want it to be like offset by like maybe 10, right? And then I'm going to make the leading equal to the option image is trailing, because I want it to be behind the option image. And I'm going to offset it by like 10. And now I'm going to work on the cost label. Leading. So the cost labels leading is going to be equal to the option labels. And I'm going to make the top equal to the option label bottom, offset by maybe like 10. And then I'm going to work on the start image now. So you see how like it's so much faster and shorter to do constraining with Snapkit. So the start images leading is also equal to the option labels. And its top is equal to the cost labels bottom. I'm going to offset it by 5 since it's like a little closer. And now I'm going to do the rating label. And I'm going to make its leading equal to the start images trailing. So here you see like it's right next to it. And then I'm going to make its center Y equal to the start images center Y. And now I'm going to work on the quantity background view. So the quantity background view. So when I constrain, I like to go from the top to the bottom. So, and then like from the outside to the inside. So quantity background view, we're going to make its leading and its trailing equal to superview. So say I want the leading and the trailing to be equal to super view, but like with a little bit of like padding. So then I would just do leading, trailing equal to super view dot inset. In this case, I'm going to try 20, and I'm going to make the top equal to the option images bottom, offset by 20, and then I'm going to make its height equal to like say 60. Now I can work on the stuff that's inside the option background, the quantity background view. So the quantity label and the add button and the remove button. So do quantity label, center Y. I'm set its center Y equal to super view. So its super view is actually the quantity background view. So it's going to be the center of this. And then I'm going to make its leading equal to super view, but maybe offset by like 20. And then I'm going to work on the add button. And I'm going to make its center Y also equal to super view. And I'm going to make its trailing equal to the super view inset by 20. So you can do offset negative 20, but if you want it to be like a positive number, you would do inset 20. So it would be like here. And then we're going to add the remove button to the left of that. Its center Y is also equal to the super view, but its trailing is going to be equal to the add button dot leading offset. I'm going to do offset negative 10 in this case. And then now we're going to work on the total price label. So this one, and then the two buttons in the bottom. So the total price label. So, oh, I think I don't need this function for total price. I'm going to make its leading dot equal to the quantity background views leading because I want it to be aligned here. I want its top to be the quantity background views bottom. I'm going to offset it by 20. And now just have to work on the cancel button. I'm going to make its leading equal to the total price labels leading. I'm going to make its width equal to 130 and its height equal to 40. And then I'm going to make its top equal to the total price labels bottom. And I'm going to offset it by maybe, if you look here, it's like 30. And then the add button has similar constraints. But instead, I'm going to make its trailing equal to the super view, inset by 20. And then its height, width, and top constraints are the same, so you can just do that. And then you can just do set up constraints. We run that, nothing will happen, but this is just to catch any errors. So yeah, now we can handle the view controller. We can initialize the view here. So the way we're going to do this is going to do bar add option add cart view. I'm going to make it a type add cart view, and we're going to do an exclamation mark since it doesn't show all the time. So that's what you would have to do. And no, so we wanted to show when we tap on a cell, right? So the way we handle that is here. So display the pop-up. So this is the function that gets called when a cell is selected. So then this is where we would initialize the pop-up and then like have it appear. So we would do add cart view equals add cart view, and then select a cafe option. So the select a cafe option is going to be select. So this array is called cafe option. So you want the one at index path.row. and then you can just do selected cafe option. And so the way we're going to make it appear is we're going to initialize it, and then we're going to view.add subview of add cart view, and then we're going to add its constraints. So add cart view dot make constraints. So since it's just one constraint, you don't need to like put it in its own function. You can just do make dot center x dot center y dot equal to super view, and then I'm going to set its height and width. So make height dot equal to say 350, and make its width equal to 320. So then this will cause this view to appear in the center, and its height is going to be 350, and its width is going to be 320. And now the way we make it appear is with UI_view.animate. So you're going to want to pick the one with duration, animations, and completion. Sorry, not completion. You just want the one with duration and animation. So I'm going to make it animated for 0.25 seconds. And then here's where you add the animation. So what I just did was, if you see something like this, and it's like something with an arrow, it's usually an indication there's a closure there. So you can just press enter, and it will just do this to your code. And then you can just do add cart view dot transform. So we're gonna want it to, like, when it appears, it's gonna like stretch a little bit and then like shrink down again. So I'm gonna do dot init scale x is going to be 1.5, and scale so it's gonna scale x is going to be 1.5 and y is going to be 1.5. So I typed that correctly. And then you're going to set its alpha equal to 1. So this is what causes it to appear. And then you're going to do transform identity. So what this does is, like, this one stretched it, and now we're going to change it back to like what it looked like before. And then self.add alpha at cart view dot alpha equals 1. So we run this. What happens right now is I select it and something appears. So the reason why it looks like this, I think I forgot to set its background color. So we can just do that. And all the constraints are messed up, so we're going to have to fix that. So after looking through this, I realized that I had initially had this as add button, but it's actually add to cart button. So just change this to add to cart button, and then change it back down here. So yeah, it gets a little confusing when you have two variables that are called the same thing. So just make sure you keep that in mind in the future. But yeah, so I fixed that, and I also added a corner radius, since you want like rounded corners here. So I set it to 36. So now if I run this, like select it, like this comes up. And if you click one of these, like, nothing really happens, right? It's just print statements. So this add to cart button doesn't even have anything to print. So I guess I could just print add to cart. So now that we have this, now we're gonna have to handle like updating the data first, and then also like handling these two buttons. So let's start with handling the adding quantity and removing quantity. So add quantity, you basically have to update the quantity. So like you can just do like selected cafe option dot option quantity equals selected cafe option dot option quantity plus 1. And then the quantity label, you have to update it, and you're gonna also have to update the price label. So quantity label dot text equals quantity, and it's going to be selected cafe option dot option quantity. And then you're going to update the total price label dot text equals total price, and it's going to have $, $, and then it's going to be selected cafe option dot option quantity times selected cafe option dot option cost. And that's how you add quantity. And to remove quantity, it's a little bit more complicated because you don't want them to remove it so much that like you can't just decrease by -1 every time, because like then you can eventually hit a negative number. So you're gonna have to take care of that case. So we're gonna do selected cafe option dot option quantity equals selected cafe option dot option quantity is greater than 0. So if it's greater than 0, then we can decrement by 1, but else it's 0, right? Because you want to keep it at 0. So the way this statement works is like you're going to have the thing on the left that you want to change, and then on the right, before the question mark, it's your conditional. So in this case, I want to check like, is the option quantity greater than 0? And if it is, then I can decrement by 1, right? But if it's not greater than 0, so it is 0, then you want it to just stay 0. And now you can just update the quantity and the price. So I can just copy this code over here. So now if I run this, I select these buttons, like it changes, right? But these buttons still don't work. So normally you would do this with delegation, but since we're going to use closures, we're going to try something a little different. So the way we do this is we would scroll up here, and then you would add 2 closures. So I'm going to add one for canceling the ad, and then another one for like actually adding to the cart. So I'm going to call it private var handle cancel ad, and this is going to be of type. So this basically means like void, like it doesn't take any inputs and it doesn't return any values, since like I just want it to like handle canceling the ad. And then I'm going to have another one called handle add to cart. And this is going to have a cafe option as the input and not return anything. So the reason why is because I need to pass back the cafe option that I changed. So like while I'm doing this, like I'm changing the cafe option. And now you're going to have to initialize these 2 closures that you added. So you're going to add them to the init. So handle cancel add. So both of them are going to be escaping closures. So you're going to do handle cancel add at escaping, and then you do this. So it's a little confusing, but you have to like put parentheses on the outside. And then that's for one of them. And then I'm going to have to do one for handle add to cart of escaping. And we're going to do cafe option to void. So just make sure I didn't mess up any parentheses. No, okay. So now I'm just to handle cancel add equals handle cancel add, and self dot handle add to cart equals handle to cart. So now if you build it, it's going to yell at you because in your initializer you didn't add these arguments for the closures. So here is where you handle like what happens when like I click in the pop-up view, like cancel and add to cart. So the way you do that is here you're going to do and then you see this. So with the arrow, you just click enter again, and then you can do the code for that. So what I want to do if I'm going to cancel is I'm going to do uid.animate. And in this case, I do want completion. So it's going to be duration of 0.2. And the animations, I'm going to do self. So since it's inside a closure, you have to use self. For some reason, it's not letting me tab, but I'll just do this self dot add cart view dot alpha equals 0. So I wanted to like animate it so that like its opacity goes to 0. It's like alpha value goes to 0. And then I'm going to transform it again. Similarly to how we did it before. And this time I'm going to do 0.5 and y is going to be 0.5. So I want it to like shrink a little bit. And then in the completion, so since we're not going to need this bool, you can just do an underscore there. And then we're going to do self.add cart view dot remove from super view. So we're going to remove it from the view. And now that we've handled the handle cancel add, we're going to add another one for handle add to cart. So again, with the enter, and this is the cafe option that we're passing back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, since when I selected this, like I already know which index path I selected, so I can just do self dot cafe options index path dot row. So this is the one that I passed in, and now I'm going to change it to cafe option, which is the one that I passed back. And then I'm going to have to reload the table view so that it reflects the changes. And then I'm going to also animate its disappearance again. And you want the one with completion. So dot put to animation. So it's going to be the same animations as up here. So you can just copy them. You can also probably factor this out into a separate function. So here, and then you're just going to do self.add cart view dot remove from super view. And so, yeah, so now this should work. Oh, we forgot one more thing. So actually, you did pass these completion handlers in, so you like implemented it, but you actually have to call it over here. So you're going to add cart view. Here where we had cancel add, you can just do cancel add and cancel. No, it would be handle add to cart, and the input is select the cafe option. Sorry, this is not cancel, it's handle cancel add. Yeah, so let's try that. So yeah, if you add quantity, add to cart, it should show up in your cart now, but these functions don't work. So the buttons on the inside, they don't work. You're going to have to work, we're gonna have to do that. So that's going to be here in 2 through 3. So we're gonna have to handle adding quantity and handle removing quantity. So much of the same, we're going to have to use another closure. So in this case, we're going to do, it can't be private, and you'll see why in a bit. So we're gonna call it handle quantity change. I could separate this into 2 different functions, but I'm going to just do one in this case. So the input is the cafe option table view cell. So when it's a completion for like something you're going to do for this table view cell, the input is usually the table view cell itself. And I'm also going to have an int. And this int is going to be like whether I want to increase it or decrease it. So it's either going to be 1 or -1. And it's going to be void. And you're going to have to make it optional. Yeah, so now you can just call it down here as like handle quantity change, and you're going to do self, since this self is the table view cell, and also this is 1. But if you notice, it was an optional, so we're going to have to actually unwrap it. And then you can just do handle quantity of self and 1. And you can do the same for this remove quantity. So if let t equals handle quantity change. And then you'll handle it in the view controller for the carts, right? Because here you can't like do the plus minus, you can only do it in the cart. So you can, if you go to cart view controller and you go down to where this table view is dequeued, this is where you would do it. So you can do cell dot handle quantity change equals, and then this is where you would define how you're going to handle this quantity change. So the way you do it is like, you know that you have 2 inputs that are passed back. So I'm going to call this selected cell and change. Change is either like plus or -1, right? And you just do in. So I'm going to unwrap the index path equals self dot cart table view dot index path for this selected cell, right? Because you want the cell, like the index path corresponding to the cell that you were like toggling, else return. And then you're going to set the selected cafe options index path. So selected cafe options is the data source for this view controller, and you want to change its option quantity. Oh, sorry, not index path, it's going to be index path.row. Its option quantity equal to selected. You're just basically going to increment it by 1. So you can just do this. You're going to increment it by change, right? And here you're going to have to like check like if this was like, if the change made it negative, you're going to have to like remove it, but also like what's it called? So if the change made it negative, then you're going to have to remove this selected cafe option from your cart. Oh, so because you're in a closure, you have to use self. So we're going to do self selected cafe options dot equals self dot selected cafe options dot filter. So we're going to filter out all of the ones with quantities that are not greater than 0. So can do $0. So this $0 refers to like an element of the array, and you can just do option quantity is greater than 0 because we only want everything that's whose quantity is still greater than 0. And then now you can update the price, right? So you can do self dot cost label dot text equals I have a function written here that updates the price. So total price and if you look up here, self.total price, it's just a loop over everything and just like accumulating all the option cost times option quantities. So that's it. And then now we just have to reload the table view so we can see our changes reflected. And so there's nothing in the cart now. And if I add something, I go to the cart, you'll see that it's there. And if it becomes 0, it disappears, right? So, so yeah, you can just add to the cart and it'll show up here. You can add multiple things to the cart. So if I want this coffee, you can add it to the cart. And you can also remove from the cart and then pay now. So yeah, that's it for the demo, and good luck everyone on the hack challenge.